This is a report on the customer service policy of Oliver and Bonacini, an events and restaurants company that I worked for the past 8 years. The focus of this report will be on how OMB implements their service and what can be done to improve it. During this presentation, I'll be showing photographs of various venues owned by Oliver and Bonacini to show how similar the visual aesthetic is from space to space. It's the goal of my report to help OMB achieve the same kind of consistency with their customer service. 25% of guest reviews on sites such as Yelp and Google and on social networking sites like Facebook are negative. Currently, OMB is getting only 2 out of 5 possible stars, which is quite low. Market research has shown that a guest who has had a bad experience will tell twice as many people about it than a guest who has had a good experience. Therefore, OMB should strive to create a consistently excellent experience for their guests to reduce the number of negative reviews. This presentation will detail OMB's current training methods with suggestions for improvement while still recognizing the company's recent efforts to improve guest experience through employee training. The current training process at Oliver and Monachini event spaces and restaurants is fairly informal. Newly hired employees shadow a more experienced team member throughout the duration of the shift. As the more experienced employee performs tasks, he or she explains to the new hire the significance of the task. Tasks are performed according to a document called BEO. BEO stands for Banquet Event Order. The BEO contains vital information such as how many chairs and tables will be needed for a given event, as well as the total number of wine glasses, rocks glasses, dinner knives, salad knives, appetizer forks, etc. For bartenders, the BEO tells them how much beer, liquor, and wine will be needed. The BEO also has a timetable showing what time certain events will be taking place. A BEO for a wedding, for example, will show the exact times for guest arrival, ceremony, reception, speeches, dances, and guest departure. This is crucial to the smooth execution of an event because a certain number of employees will need to be allocated to certain tasks. Because of the extreme importance of the timetable, it is important that employees are working from the most current BEO because the flow of events can change at very short notice. All opening shift employees should check with their managers before starting event preparations in order to avoid mistakes. After a newly hired employee's first shift, he or she is expected to work alone. There is no second shadow shift. I recommend that OMB mandate as many shadow shifts are necessary on a case-to-case basis. Some people learn faster than others, and this should be taken into account before giving a new hire too much responsibility. OMB does provide an orientation booklet that lists all possible tasks, and the new employee is expected to check off each task as he or she becomes familiar with them. But there is no official supervision here, which is another suggestion I am making. Managers and trainers should check on the daily progress of a new employee's orientation booklet, making sure that there are no missed tasks. This will ensure that all employees are well prepared for every shift and are able to begin tasks without being asked, which will reduce the time, the need for micromanaging. Furthermore, I propose that there should be a check-in interview every 3 months during the first year of a new team member's employment. 3 months after his or her date of hire, a team member should meet with his or her direct superior in order to discuss their progress. This meeting should occur again at 6 months, 9 months, and on the 1 year anniversary of the hiring. This will allow managers to gauge the knowledge, confidence, and enthusiasm of each employee, while also determining their comfort level with certain tasks and positions. So, if an employee reveals that he is uncomfortable working the bar during his 3 month check in, he should bartend as often as possible between 3 months and 6 months. This process can be applied to any task or responsibility an employee seems deficient at, which will ensure a knowledgeable, confident, and well-rounded employee who can be asked to do a number of things during a shift. Diversifying the skills of a team by cross training employees would result in a more efficient workplace, which in turn will create a more consistent guest experience. In addition to the on-job training that happens during OMB shifts, OMB also offers employees optional classes on bartending, wine, and beer. The bartending classes show employees how to make drinks, from classics like the martini or the cosmopolitan to more exotic drinks tailored to the specific event. These bartending classes also provide basic information on how different liquors are made, which can be helpful when talking to guests who aren't sure what drink to order. The wine classes are highly detailed, covering topics like soil type, grape varietals, climate, tannin level, and pairing, which is the art of matching a specific wine to a specific meal. The beer classes are similar, teaching employees the difference between an ale and a lager and a pilsner, and so on. All of these classes are highly informative and feature valuable information. They're also paid for, but they're not mandatory. Because the topics covered in these classes have a direct input on OMB's customer service, they should be mandatory. There is no reason why some employees should have this knowledge while others don't. Such a discrepancy may result in inconsistent guest experiences, which is the antithesis of OMB's goal, and in fact, the antithesis of standards in general. This will ensure a highly knowledgeable staff to answer any guest's questions. Many memorable guest experiences come from trying something new and finding it delightful or delicious. OMB's team members can make better recommendations if they know what they're talking about. Therefore, in addition to making these classes mandatory, OMB should add another class, one about food, covering the basics in order to ensure that all front of house staff understand basic cooking processes in order to better inform guests about the menu. Finally, these classes should be followed up with a quiz or some kind of test to gauge how much information the team members have retained. Employees who perform poorly on these tests should take the classes again. OMB is currently revamping its recruiting and training processes. The company is also introducing new methods of measuring the progress of new employees. This year, Andrew Oliver, the president of the company, personally recommended the creation of an orientation video showing employees performing tasks. All new hires are required to watch this video. One further suggestion I would make is to get employees write a quiz after the video to gauge how much information a given employee has remembered. In addition to the new video, OMB is also drafting a completely new customer service policy by working with an outside partner, the Ritz-Carlton, one of the world's leading organizations in high-end customer service. For this process, I would recommend that OMB maintain its own signature style by amending and adapting some of the Ritz-Carlton's practices instead of merely copying them. This way, OMB can maintain its own signature style of service, and new quality checks are being implemented on a day-to-day, shift-to-shift basis. Things like having a temperature log for the fridges, checked 3 times a day, uniform and grooming checks for the front of house servers, and more frequent communication with guests to ensure that their needs have been met. In terms of quality control, OMB currently has several internal auditors who go from venue to venue unannounced, checking to ensure that everyone is in proper uniform, the food is up to OMB standards, and that all safety regulations are being followed. I recommend that OMB hire an outside party to do this auditing in order to ensure a more objective judgment. This is not to say that OMB's current auditors are incompetent, but many of them have worked at certain OMB venues before, and the excitement of revisiting these places and seeing old friends and making new ones may distract them from doing a complete job. An outside auditing agency would mitigate this risk entirely. Oliver Monicini is a trusted name in the service industry. The fact that the company has grown and thrived rather than simply survived in a market as competitive as Toronto's, in an industry as volatile as the restaurants and events-based industry, it is a testament to the professionalism and perfectionism on display from the top of the organization to the bottom. However, as one whole quarter of online reviews will attest, the company has room to improve. These improvements should be standardized across all venues to ensure a more consistent guest experience. New employees should have their progress monitored far more frequently than they do currently. With these solutions in place, OMB will see a company wide improvement in the quality of the service, followed by a more uh, positive online feedback from guests. Let's remember that currently OMB is getting 25% of their reviews. They're getting they're negative, which is something they have an opportunity, a chance to work on, which is something they must work on if they are to improve the customer's experience. Finally, a company's workforce is often its biggest expense, but it is also its biggest asset. With this in mind, Oliver and Bonaccini should have more frequent dialogue with its own employees. After all, veteran employees in the restaurants and event spaces spend far more time performing day to day tasks than policymakers. So, OMB should create new avenues of dialogue in which these seasoned team members can make suggestions for improvement. Sometimes centralized policies can be too strict, rigid, inflexible. So, flexibility is needed in an industry where things can change at the last minute. Although a company wide training policy is necessary to ensure a consistent guest experience, venues should still retain their own autonomy in order to accommodate last minute changes of circumstance. Oliver Monaccini's top priority is not just customer satisfaction. We strive to exceed guests' expectations by providing an unforgettable positive experience. These new recommendations should move the company into the rarefied realm of excellence by training its team members to the very best in the industry. That was my presentation. I hope you enjoyed it.